So here we have Brandon Beardon. Welcome, Brandon.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're delighted to have you here with us. And Brandon is a mobile app designer or an app designer for the Home Depot.
That's right.
So where are you located, Brandon?
I'm in Atlanta.
Okay. And isn't that the head office for Home Depot?
Yep, the headquarters, big giant ivory tower, is actually just north of the city.
And is that where you're working at the moment?
So no, due to COVID and everything, everything is remote, and we're actually fully functioning at 100% remote. I do live on a lot of Zoom calls, but I'm able to get my job done, just as I was in the office. I do miss the people, of course, but right now with the state of the world, I get to see them virtually, so that's better than not seeing them at all.
Well, I actually think that most of the people on this call and most of the kids can definitely recognize all of the things that you've just said, and certainly spending time on Zoom. So, that's great though that you were able to function almost completely normally, remotely. That's brilliant.
Maybe even better, because you get out of bed and you're at your desk, no commuting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some people prefer it.
I actually think you're right, but hey, don't we all want to be back and
I know. I miss the human interaction for sure.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a great part about any job really.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's take the story right back to the beginning, and maybe the first question I always ask is, what was your favorite subject at elementary school, Brandon?
So it was actually geometry. I loved working with shapes and putting together pieces, mathematically. Everything had a certain ratio to it. And, geometry really was something that I excelled in, as well as art class. I was always sketching in all of my classes. So in art, big time drawing of landscapes, stuff like that was definitely, my favorite subjects.
Okay, right. So art's a bit of a passion of yours when you were at school.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And when you weren't in school, apart from drawing, what did you like doing?
So I was always outside. I played a lot of sports, baseball, golf. I actually played hockey, believe it or not, in Atlanta, ice and roller hockey. And yeah, anything I could, football, put a ball in my hands. I was always very active.
That's great. I think it's quite common in this part of the world to be a baseball fan as well. So
Yes.
what's your favorite side?
The Atlanta Braves.
Of course it is.
Of course.
So okay, so now you probably you work with a lot of phones. Well, I mean, we've all got our phones in our hands a lot of the time, and we really use them every day for almost everything that we do. But do you actually remember your first phone?
Yeah, my first phone was actually a flip phone. I think the only thing you could really do on it was call and text. And I want to say the game Snake was around. I remember playing Snake. So, but I do remember when the first iPhone came out, and I got it, and I think that's probably where my passion started.
Okay, yeah. Well, my first phone was also one of those flip phones as well that went like this, and it really had nothing on it apart from numbers from 0 to 9. I can remember that. There was barely a screen. So things have moved on very, very quickly, and that's the great thing about technology, isn't it? It moves really, really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
What about games then? You said Snake. Did you play any other video games?
I played PlayStation and Xbox growing up. Halo was big, and then Call of Duty, FIFA, Madden, a lot of the sports games. And I remember when Xbox Live came out and playing with your friends, live. That was the big thing. So yeah, definitely a lot of video games growing up, when I could, in moderation.
So you spent quite a lot of time being what we call a consumer of these things. You were the person who was using them. So let's just try and work out a little bit how you went from being a consumer, a user, to a designer. So did you have computers at school? Were you working on computers to do things?
I did, yeah. I loved working with computers at school. Always, very tech savvy and everything. And my high school offered a graphic design class, and that's really where I think I got started, learning that this is something that people do for a living. They use their creativity, their ability to draw, they can use their creative minds to make a living from it and have fun doing it.
So can you remember something that you specifically designed when you were at school, the first time that you created something on a computer which was yours?
Yeah, I remember designing a t-shirt. I remember sketching it out. I remember putting it on the computer, and then actually being able to make the t-shirt at school was so cool. I think I fell in love from there.
Wow. And actually, I think I saw earlier you've got a special logo on the t-shirt that you're wearing now. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I made this for, our team at Home Depot. You can see the back. I don't know if you can see the logo or not, but it's our Interconnected Experience team. And they had me design the t-shirt for the team. There's actually a few designs, and mine won, I guess, the vote. So pretty cool, just a little extracurricular.
That is cool. I love the way you went from doing something at school and then you went to doing it in your job, but on a much grander scale.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
Someone's just commented, "That's awesome, Brandon," and I think it really is. It really is awesome. So, okay, so you were at school, and then you got a job at some point. Did you do a summer job? How did you keep yourself busy?
I did I remember my first summer job in high school was landscaping. Loved being outside. It was very hard work, up early. I actually got, some muscles from it too, holding a blower and, an edger, and a mower, pushing a mower around. And, it taught me a lot about, the importance of, being on time and, working in a team environment, because there was, I think, 4 or 5 of us, and being reliable.
Okay, so that was something that you thought you might follow up on and maybe get a career in that type of like horticulture or working with landscaping, or not? No,
as rewarding as the experience was, I think I realized I didn't want to do anything manual labor, as a career. So it was definitely a good lesson though.
Okay, so then presumably you just went back to your computers and your art, and then how did you end up studying it? What did you end up studying at college?
So once I realized that graphic design was a career choice, I learned that you could major in it, at school. So having an in-state Hope Scholarship in the state of Georgia really, helped narrow down my decision. And I looked at Georgia Southern University and their graphic design program, which was pretty competitive. I think like 60 people applied my year and only 15 got in. And I was top 3 in my class, I think, not to brag, but you had to take a year to apply and get in. And once I did, I think that was some validation for myself. Like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I've actually competed to be here. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that's excellent. So were there any highlights about your college experience? Did you do any work experience, for example, or internships?
Oh, yes. So I actually had the opportunity to do an internship abroad. One of my professors was from India. He went to a school called National Institute of Design in India. And he sent 8 of us over to India, or gave us the option to do internships abroad. So I actually lived in India for 2 months and worked at a large consumer packaging design agency and they design products like similar to like Chips Ahoy, like Ziploc bags, like the India version. So
Okay.
I'm a big traveler, and I remember applying for internships in Atlanta, and then I had this opportunity to go abroad and just like, you know, something that I'll never get to do again. And so I went for it, and it was amazing.
Well, it blows your mind to think about a college student just going to India just like that. What was your first impression when you got off the airplane?
This is not America. It was very different. You know, it's very crowded. It's very noisy, very loud. It's a total culture shock. You know, it was insane.
Right, and would you recommend that experience to somebody? Some of the
Oh my gosh.
little ears listening.
I would recommend, you know, reaching or branching out and, you know, going outside your comfort zone and exploring, you know, different parts of the world for sure. And it really, you know, every time I've gone anywhere, I've always been glad to come home, kiss the ground when I get home for sure. But it's so good just seeing what's out there in the world, you know.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to move on now to present day and what you do in your job. So
yeah.
So you work for Home Depot, and you're an app designer. So maybe what's an app? That's probably a question that a few of the watchers are asking.
So there's a difference. There's a mobile website that you can go to, that on your Safari or Google, and then there's obviously an app store where you can download a native app. And the reason why people design, you know, native apps is they, you know, typically are better performing and finely tuned, and you have more flexibility with the code to you know, create more features like, you know, voice technology, augmented reality, VR, stuff like that. It just gives the company, you know, a lot more flexibility than doing something on the web.
Wow. Okay. So that's a great description. So we've got a few pictures which I can show everyone who's watching, and we can sort of talk through them so to describe exactly what it is that you do. So I'm just going to share my screen, and we can have a look at what it is that Brandon does. So, okay, so can everyone see my screen? You should see before and after. Yep. Okay, that's good. So the before and after, could you describe what the before is and what the after is, please?
So yeah, the project here was, this is Home Depot's app. This is my baby. This is the shop tab for our tools category. And we were getting a lot of complaints from users. Some people didn't know, you know, what an air compressor was or what, you know, welding and soldering was. So they needed more.
That's me, I have to say. I don't know what either of those things are.
Yeah, exactly. So they wanted more visual cues of what those things were. And so we were tasked with designing that. How is that going to look? So to the right is what the end result ended up being, was, you know, being able to show the categories with imagery on a horizontal scroll on a category level. And this actually improved revenue significantly once the feature was released. So we're constantly looking on ways to improve, you know, different parts of the app this way. And my job is to make, you know, the user interface as, you know, best, you know, user friendly as possible.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop you there. Just user interface. Could you just tell us a little bit about what a user interface, what the user interface is?
Yeah. The user interface is, you know, what the user sees, you know, on the screen. And my title is actually also a user experience designer. So that also, you know, means the user's overall experience. So, you know, from screen to screen, once they click a button, where's that going to take them and why, you know?
Okay, so we've seen what it looked like before and what it looked like after. So maybe let's go inside your brain, shall we, and see what what your notes look like. There you go. What's going on here? This is taken straight from Brandon's office.
Yeah.
So where he works, and explain away. Show us.
So yeah, this is actually related to the last project. So when we have an idea, we use pen and paper, nitty gritty, collaborative team meetings to write down our ideas and really, put them on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper and see how they flow before we, get on the computer and, really get down to designing. So this is just a way to get your ideas across and show them to, your coworkers or stakeholders or whoever you're designing for.
Okay, so that's what the wall looks like in your office.
Absolutely,
as well.
Yes. Yeah, and this is another stage of the design process. This is actually us doing a competitive analysis of other apps, and this is specifically their shop tab. So it's hard to see, but on the left there's Target's app in there. In the middle we have Amazon. On the right we have Nike, and we put sticky notes and dots on there of things that we like about that experience, and we learn from other people's mistakes and their successes and how we can bring them into our experience.
That's great. Okay, so I can see lots of things that look like phones, sort of diagrams of phones. So what are those? So
those are just printouts of phones. We'll put them all on a big artboard and print them out, cut them out, and use them for our exercises. So, and each different little dot here is, maybe the green one is what we like visually, maybe the pink one is what we like from a content perspective, meaning like the words that they say.
Okay. And so then you put all your ideas into some sort of framework?
Right. Yeah. Right? We'll take pictures and cut them out and put them in little buckets, and we'll say, hey, we like Nike, how they did this. We like Target, how they did this. And, maybe, think about implementing them into our designs. And yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. This is another stage of the design process. This is, once we have figured out kind of our direction, we'll print out, pictures of phones and start using, wireframing. So this is called drawing a wireframe with boxes and lines and figuring out where content is going to live and how it can, live and breathe on the device.
That's amazing. So then eventually we go back to that. And so that is how Brandon went from there to that. And how long would that process take? How long does it take you to complete a project from start to finish?
Yeah, it depends on the scale, and the timelines, but it can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months, The project we're working on currently is a feature called in-store mode. When you walk into the Home Depot store with your phone, it'll trigger an in-store mode and we'll have features like barcode scanner, voice, activation, image search, island bay locator that are blown out. And that one's taking about a year because it's such a big, a big project. So it varies. Okay.
So earlier on you mentioned augmented reality. So that sounds like something fun and new.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Augmented reality is, a feature I'm sure I think a lot of people are aware of that is being used in the shopping e-commerce world. So this right here is actually a chair in my living room that I placed with our actual augmented reality experience on the Home Depot app. So let's say you're decorating your room and you want a new lamp next to your bunk bed or lava lamp or something. You could take that physical image and put it, in the space to see what it looks like before you go buy it. So really cool technology.
It is, absolutely. Right. I do feel like we have learned an awful lot about you, and we have probably got quite a lot of questions. So, Mike, I'm going to introduce Mike now. Mike from Michigan. I think we said hi earlier. Have you got any questions in the chat to present to Brandon?
Sure, we've got a few, and while I ask those, if anybody else, especially the kids, have any questions about anything, I think Brandon will answer just about anything you want to ask. So
give it to me.
Put those in there, and then we'll ask those too. So So first one I saw here, Brandon, there was a question about why they call it a native app. Like, what does the native part mean?
So native is just a term, that, is an iOS and Android devices. I don't know where it started, but it basically means that it lives on your device and it's not on the web.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. And then when it came to that design process, you mentioned it showed all those rough drafts and drawings and things.
Mm-hmm.
How many rough drafts or how many tries do y'all take at an app before you decide it's just the way you want it?
Oh my gosh, many. Dozens. There's a lot of collaboration back and forth, sometimes some arguments. There's a lot of passion in the room for sure. So a lot of back and forth, and you can't forget, you're hired to make money for the company. So there's a lot of business people and stakeholders in the room that have their opinions as well. So a lot of back and forth. I would say dozens of variations.
Okay, great. All right, and in terms of coming up with all those ideas, you talked a little bit about a couple subjects in school, but any other subjects that really help you in your job from stuff you learned in school?
Let's see. I was always good at writing for some reason also. English, I didn't say it, but I think being able to write content, well and speak well and present in meetings and handle yourself well. Public speaking was always something that was, kind of challenging that I had to challenge myself on. But I think English, being able to write well and read well has definitely helped me.
Okay, excellent. All right, good. All right, and Jude asked a good question. What code languages, what programming languages do you use for your apps?
Okay, so I, since I'm a front-end designer, I pass off the code to our developers, and I know they use C# and I think they use Java. So C# maybe for Android and Java for iOS, or maybe the other way around. But they get to handle all that crazy code, on the back end.
Okay, interesting. All right, good. All right, we had a couple other app questions come in here. So what would you say is the coolest app you've ever seen?
The coolest app I've ever seen. That's a good one. I think when Uber came out, that was probably the most impressive to me. Being able to see, where a ride is coming in live time to pick you up, by your house or wherever. That was probably like one of the coolest ones.
Okay, excellent. All right, good. And someone else asked, how many other people at Home Depot do you work with to make apps? Like, how many people make apps at your company?
So there is 5 designers on my team currently, and probably anywhere from 10 to 12 developers, depending on, how much work we have, going on. So there, and then I would say anywhere from 4 to 5, we call them product owners, that kind of come up with, our timelines and the features that we want to design.
Okay, interesting. All right, good. And somebody else asked, so how do you know if the app is successful? Is there stuff you measure or numbers you look at?
Yeah, there's different softwares out there that our product team uses to track, different heat maps, and I think there's one called ClickTail out there that we use to see, where people are hitting like the hot spots and where, people are really clicking at and where all that engagement is coming from. So yeah, we have software out there that tracks all our engagement, all our dollars, all our conversion. And that goes into a lot of the design decisions that we make.
Okay, good. All right, and then there are a couple other app questions. Maybe these two kind of go together. Somebody asked, how many days do you have to make your app or to make a feature on it? And then how hard is it? Like, or maybe what's the hard part and what's the fun part about it?
Yeah, so, again, different features can take different times. I could design a simple feature in an hour if I wanted to, but sometimes they're, they allow a lot for a lot more time. They could take weeks to design. Sometimes you need to collaborate with different team members on, the feature. So a lot of teamwork, goes into it. And what was the second part?
Is for what would you say is the hard part, and what's maybe not easy part, but maybe the fun part of it?
I'd say the hard part is when you're in between like two different concepts and you can't figure out which one you want, and say you're really, married to one over the other. We do a lot of user testing, to where we put two features in front of each other, in front of the user, and we compare which one is easier to use. And that's actually a really fun part of the job. That saves me a lot of time when I can do that, earlier than later, to see, hey, which feature, works best.
Okay, interesting. All right, super. And more general question, was it hard to get your job at Home Depot?
I think it kind of was. I had the help of a recruiter and a family friend actually to get in there. And before that, I actually worked at Turner Sports. Was also a little kind of hard to get into as well. Creating sports apps. It was, I remember March Madness and the PGA Championship app was one of them. So yeah, I mean, you definitely needed, I needed help, to get my foot in the door. And it's a company that you want to stay a part of. Everybody wants to work for, the big logos, the big brands. So, once I got it, I was so thankful.
Okay, excellent. All right, super. Yeah, the hard work paid off. Good.
Yep.
Great. So, a technical one here. So, what do you do anything to help make sure that there aren't cyber attacks at Home Depot?
No, that's not part of my job title. I wish it was, though.
Right, excellent. In general, but back when you talked about becoming a graphic designer, can you say a little more about like what made you want to be a graphic designer?
Yeah, that goes back to just like my creativity and sketching. And I started out, making logos and t-shirts, and I never thought that it would evolve to, going digital with it and, creating apps. Like I said, my internship was in packaging design. So it was like physical products, So I went from, sketching to logos to packaging, and then I found digital and I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. I mean, like technology, like we were talking about, is always changing and evolving. And I was like, I want to be, how can I be a part of this? So that's how I made my decision.
Awesome. Okay, interesting. All right, good. And another comment too, do you mentor young people or do you help other younger people get started?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. We've had, I do quite a bit of interviewing, across the Home Depot, different teams. And then I've had, a couple of different people come on, and I've kind of took under my wing, once they're fresh out of college, showing them the ropes of, how to, not typically, everybody kind of has their own design process, but I mentor them on like, what has worked for me and what works, for this particular type of project or, at the company.
Okay, excellent. All right, good. Well, then another question related to app design. Do the people who work in app design, do they tend to be younger than other people at Home Depot or?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Okay, cool. All right, good. And then the last question we got for now, Frank asked, have you ever made TikTok videos?
No, man, I'm not that cool, but I do watch them,
Awesome. All right, very good. All right, well, Lorna, I think we're caught up in terms of the questions right now.
Okay, that's great. So I think we've looked at the Home Depot app, which is about buying furniture and power tools and things that I actually don't know the name of or what they're for. But there are lots of apps that I know that the kids watching will have seen. And obviously, so, as it Frank's just mentioned, TikTok. If you could make an app that would do anything, and first of all, I'm going to ask Brandon this, but then, everyone listening and watching can join in, and we will actually spotlight you as well if you want to. If you could make an app that did something, what app would you make? So it could be just in your wildest dreams, your wildest imagination.
So that's a great question. So when you think of apps, or any idea really, you want it to solve a problem, for the user. And since you said I can go as far as I want, I'm gonna say an app to do my dishes and clean my house. Some kind of virtual assistant, maybe one day.
Okay, that's great. A virtual assistant that does the dishes. I want one of those too. When you get that app, you can send it to me as well. So I can see that Esmeralda Ramirez has raised her hand, so we can try. Miss Sharon, are you there? Would you be able to spotlight Esmeralda? Maybe not. Let me have a look. See what we're doing.
That was by accident. Sorry.
Oh, it was by accident. So do you have a great idea for an app, Esmeralda, that you would like?
No.
Okay. Has anybody else watching got an idea about something that they'd like? I think mine would actually be an app that tracked my cat so that I could see exactly where my cat goes when she goes out on her walks around the neighborhood.
That. I think that's a little bit more possible than my dish, washing idea.
Yeah. So Esmeralda's actually saying, give me that app. I think she likes that idea.
Yeah, I need to track my dog, okay?
Oh, it's your dog. Okay, well, yeah, definitely, because you want your dog to come home as well, don't you? Well, I want my cat to come home as well, but yeah, I think that's a cool idea.
Why do you even let your cat go on their own?
Oh, our cat goes out into the yard, and then she's a little bit naughty, and she hops over the fence, and she takes herself off around the neighborhood. But I can tell you, she always comes back because her food is here at home, so she always comes home. Yeah, but that's a good question. Okay.
It's also great for parents because they can track their child.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. If that's what they want to do, exactly. That Esmeralda, we can see your picture now. Hi. Nice to see you. Okay. If anybody else wants to tell us what their favorite app would be, anybody watching, how about some of the adults who are on here as well? Because I think that would be there might be some interesting ideas. No? Okay. All right. So, to wrap this up then, Brandon, because it's been absolutely amazing, and certainly I've learned so much, and I'm actually inspired now to change careers and become an app designer. Would you like to just give everyone listening and watching some tips on how to pursue their dreams? What should they do if they want to be an app designer, or indeed any other career that they might be interested in?
Yeah, I would say, first off, follow your dreams, as corny as that sounds, but don't let, anybody tell you that, something's not possible. And always look for, creative ways to get to where you're going, I went overseas for an internship and came back, and, my journey's been a wild one. So just always, look forward, look for different ways to set yourself up for success. And always look for good mentors. Look for people that that stick out to you, that are doing things right, and ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Right.
That's a really, really good thing to say. I think just don't be afraid to ask if you see somebody who is doing something, whether that you think you might like to do. Say, how did you get this job? What did you have to do? And start now. Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Never too
early. And in fact, a question just come in on the chat saying that they're new to Steam Stars, and do we have any other presentations? Well, all our previous presentations are on our Challenge Island YouTube channel, and we do this approximately once a month, and we have our next guest coming up on February the 25th, and it is Jane Sosa. She will be Jane Sosa, and Jane is a marine biologist, so that promises to be just as exciting as today's guest, Brandon. So thank you very much, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much to everyone else for joining us from far and wide. And we will see you hopefully on February the 25th. Back here for another episode of Steam Stars. So
thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
And thank you, Mr. Mike from Michigan, for being our question master. Perfect as always. So, and yes, Miss Sharon actually is our CEO and founder, I might add. And she has just put in the chat, challenge-island.com/Steam Stars. And you can also see all the previous recordings of the previous Steam Stars episodes on the website there. So, without continuing anymore, I think we're going to have to say goodbye to everybody. So goodbye, everybody, and thanks very much. Some great comments coming in about you, Brandon, actually.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Loved you. So